This is Cat Sturtz from rockingyourpath.com with another episode of Fast Action Fridays. Today is my good friend, Moira Hutchison from Ontario. We've been roommate buddies at a conference. We've shared lots of accountability talks between the two of us over the years.
Absolutely.
You've been a prior guest on Fast Action Fridays, and I always appreciate that. And I'm delighted to have you back today. And we're going to be talking about life beyond your past and living the future you deserve, which I think is a wonderful topic. And I know from experience that you're great at pulling two different dynamics together into a cohesive whole for us to consider. So let's begin, Moira, with you sharing a little bit about yourself and your background.
For sure, I'd love to. And thank you so much for having me back. It's always fun to hang out with you, Kat. So yes, the thing that we're going to look at in our conversation is living beyond your past, because all too often things happen that get us stuck. And so to your question about my past, where I come from was in my 20s, I was in a cult for 2 years. And so this is what I call my stuck story. You know, as a young adult, I always knew that my passion, my purpose in life was to serve, was to help heal others and to make a difference in other people's lives. Unfortunately, my original desire to be a nurse wasn't meant to be, and that's why I ended up going into this cult, because they kind of promised me the path of making the difference that I wanted to in the world. But of course, then I very quickly became kind of stuck, and 2 years, I was in there for 2 years. You know, now I see it as one of my greatest gifts. This is one of the things that I always say, is that everything that we experience is a gift. But sometimes when we're right in it, we don't see it. You know what I mean?
Exactly. We both have our stories of harrowing escapes.
Yes, we do. And so and here's the thing, is that what I say this to my clients is sometimes we have to allow ourselves to stay stuck for long enough till we get to the point where we realize it's us that has to make a change. We have to do something different. You know, I think it's Einstein that says that a definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. And so really to my story is that was me doing the same thing, you know, listening to other people's opinions or telling me this is what you want to do and this is who you need to be in order to do that. And so I don't really talk that much about my stuck story so much anymore, because it's such a blessing to have come through something where I completely gave up all of my sense of me. Mm-hmm. You know, it's like that's the people pleaser part of me that says, in order to be accepted, I have to do it their way, or I follow the rules, I'm a good girl. And then, like you just said, then my harrowing escape was originally I did get out, but then was kind of kidnapped back in, and I actually had to jump off a train to actually finally take the initiative to say that's it, it's over, I'm out. And then from there, it was really funny. You know, you can imagine what it was like to be kind of out of everyday life, normal society rules and things like that, and then come back into it. And of course, this all happened in Britain. And so I'm not going to say to anybody, oh, the reason there's a 2-year gap on my resume is because I was in a cult. It's not going to work. And so so back to what we're talking about today, because what I'd like to do is I want to share with you we're going to talk about the 5 steps in my formula that I've developed because of what I came through. And this has been a process that's been finessed and changed and shifted over the years of just my own conversation, my own reflection, my own healing. but it was a lot to do with what it felt like to hustle and go on the fast track of making up the time to then be able to say, well, I'm a functioning human being in everyday life. Does that make sense?
It makes perfect sense. And you know that I agree with you on the general concept that we can't change our past.
No.
We can't change the physical things that happen, but we can change our reaction to how we feel about the past and use it as an incentive to consciously move forward in better ways, which I think is kind of the foundation of some of your work.
Absolutely it is. And I love what you just said. The other part of it too is to help to get yourself to a place of appreciation and gratitude. That's the turning point, is when you can look back at something like this story that I'm sharing with you and say, thank you so much. That was awesome. There was some amazing learning and the development of the work that I feel so fortunate to help people with, because my stuck story spanned a really long time. Now, because of my insights and what I've learned to see about it, I can help people get unstuck or let go of what's not serving them much quicker.
All right, so let's jump into your advice. How do we go about this?
Absolutely. So I want to share with you my 5-step formula. Okay. So this is each step that I'm going to share is something that you can start looking at right away. So the 5 steps are, I'm going to run through what they are and then show you how they work. So the first one is awareness, then acceptance, action, adaptation or adapting, and aspiring. So this is a 5-step process. It keeps in it at any point in time. We are like a combination of all of those. But you see, your first step is awareness. So you have to be aware where you are, where you've been. You have to be aware of the story you're telling, that you're telling and expressing to other people, but as well as be aware of what are you telling yourself. You know, some people are going around saying, I'm not worthy, or this is all I could get, right?
Or I can't change because of my past.
Precisely. Or I am a product of this because my parents treated me this way, or, right? So it's, actually my husband used to say this, I come from a bent mold. It was like, well, you are who you are, right? So just be aware of what's coming out your mouth. How are you describing? What's the story you're telling yourself? And are you bringing scenarios and situations from your past to start defining you in this moment? So it's all about awareness. This is no judgment, no censoring, just being aware. The next step, and this is the step that most of my clients have the biggest problem with, accepting. Because let's say that you do have a propensity to say, woe is me, or I am this way because of my past, or I didn't have all the opportunities that I would have liked to in my past, so therefore this is the way it is now. It doesn't matter what you're doing. Or even sometimes at awareness, people become aware that they've got an addiction, or that they have some kind of limitation or victim mentality because of what they've experienced. You can't change any of that or let any of that go until you accept 100%. It is what it is. Now, a lot of people, when I say this word acceptance, they interpret it as saying that it's okay or that they're going to keep it.
Oh, yes.
You know what I mean? It's like,
yep. Oh, no, I can't do that because they'll think that it was okay that they treated me that way. Yep. And I'm not okay with that. And that's not what we're talking about here.
No, absolutely not. And Kat, it's actually through EFT tapping conference that you and I met. And initially, this is one of the best tools I know how to help people accept. Because so accepting it is just saying it is what it is. It's like you're leveling the playing ground a little bit, right? You're just saying, I have the propensity to do this. I have this addiction, whatever it is. You're just accepting it. And something magical happens when we truly accept. And that can be done either through emotion freedom technique tapping or journaling or writing things out and burning the piece of paper to say I've accepted it, but now I'm letting it go.
Mm-hmm.
But then you get into action. So this is step number 3 is action. So now you've become aware of what's the story, what is your past. You've accepted all that is, limitations, good, bad, indifferent. Now what are you going to do? Because this part is, you know how I mentioned that Einstein quote about doing the same thing over and over again. Well, once you've become aware of what it is you're doing and you've accepted the good and the bad, the strong and the weak, now what are you going to do? So this is the point where you want to start setting goals or intentions, but actually doing something different.
Yeah. I think that's the point where you take responsibility for yourself on whether you're going to stay stuck or whether you're choosing to move forward.
Exactly.
It's at that point of accepting.
Yes.
And that's what I think a lot of people fear, is because they don't know what it's going to feel like to go forward from that because they haven't experienced it. So it does take a leap of faith, and it does take dealing with some scary emotions.
Absolutely. It does. But even at that action step, your action could be to visualize a different outcome.
Mm-hmm.
Because the power of our mind is quite amazing. To your point, Kat, if you knew nothing different, you didn't know any other way, your mind does not know the difference between you visualizing a different way, something completely out of character for you to do, and what you're really doing. And so what that does is it strengthens the ability to say, actually, it didn't hurt that much. I can do this. Is to visit with that piece of you. Mm-hmm. So at action, it's not you've got to completely remake who you are or how you do things. It's just take one step, just one step towards it. It could be, I write down, I commit to doing this. I commit to calling somebody up or emailing my resume somewhere or showing up at a networking event, right? So it can be something really small.
Or I commit to not using my past as an excuse for my future.
Absolutely. Yes, because that's what the whole theme of this is. I commit to always watching the words that come out of my mouth when I describe what I've been through. And then when we do these small things, we then become somebody new. And that's what the adapting part is. Because, I had a client that at his awareness part, he was aware that he had this limiting story and he was saying, I can't shift out of this because of the past story. So we then did a whole bunch of tapping and a whole bunch of different clearing exercises at the accepting. His action step was to start writing in a journal every day. And initially, he started writing in his journal just so he could tell Moira that that's what Then something really amazing happened, because it was like he was being able to completely let go and verbalize what was going on. And he started to clear up and he started attracting all these different clients. His business started to really shift.
Mm-hmm. It's that serendipity that happens, like water that starts to flow. That's right. It's just going to keep flowing because that river of least resistance is now open. So I love that.
Right. You just took the dam off or just started to open that up. But and I will never forget the day that this happened. And that's where it was actually, this is the client that helped me develop this. It was watching him that I watched him adapt to a person that priority number 1 was writing in his journal every morning. So he adapted. So it's like he was never a person that you would have met and thought, this is a guy who meditates and writes in his journal every day. But all of a sudden he was, because he found the power of it. And his outer experience was really, really indicative of somebody who was grounded, and he was landing all the contracts that he dreamt of, in fact. This is really beautiful. And so that was the adapting. So now, like I said, you find out, and even at the action step, you might try out something that doesn't work for you. But that's okay, because then you adapt to being the person who tries the next thing, right? So this is a dance. All of these steps are a wee bit of a dance, and you can never do any of this wrong. The only wrong thing you can do is say, I'm not going to do anything, and I'm going to stay living in my past and tell the same story, right? So that leads me to the fifth step, is that once you've gone through all those 4 steps and you're starting to get some traction, you're starting to see things show up differently for you, people maybe interact with you differently, you show up differently, then you get to aspire to the next best version of you. Who do you want to be now? Because now the sky's the limit. You've actually created a process for yourself to keep coming through. And so at aspiration, what I do with my clients is I help them set like a vision statement. What's the vision for the next chapter of your life? Or to actually write out intentions. And I have this new thing, Kat. This is quite recent in one of my group programs. Is I love playing with words and coming up with new isms. So I always resisted against SMART goals. You know, the acronym for SMART goals. I always find that a bit too aggressive, a bit pushy, because it's very masculine energy in there. You either did it or you didn't, right? So there was a lot of failure-based thinking sometimes when people say, well, I've set these goals and I failed, right?
Right.
So I started saying, well, let's start setting intentions instead of saying goals, because intentions to me are a wee bit more embodying masculine and feminine energies. But I came up with a new acronym. So instead of doing SMART goals, I encourage people to do clever intentions. And so let me share with you, we're not going to go into this today, but in our chat here, but I love this, and my clients are starting to really like this too.
Oh, it sounds awesome. So go ahead and explain this, because I want to know, because you're right. This is new from the last time we've spoken.
That's right. This is new. And so this is what we would do at the aspiration step. And so clever stands for conscious, leveraged, energizing, valuable, expressed, and reflective. So you see that? Isn't that nice? So this is, like I said, so initially I was trying to figure out different way of a different usage for SMART, and I couldn't do it. But then this clever part it actually came up for me in a meditation. So it's like your intentions need to be conscious. You need to be consciously aware of what you want to create, and leveraged on your skill set, what makes you light up, what makes you happy. And energizing. So energizing is a bit of a law of attraction piece that I teach people. Energizing is that when you say, I'm going to do this, you want to feel this lift, the little bit of excitement. There might be a wee bit of nervous energy of, oh, can I do it? But overall, it's going to feel like a wee boost in energy.
Yeah,
valuable of you.
Of like a holiday that you want to explore, but you're at the same time it's like, oh my goodness, is it going to be socks from Aunt Gertrude or something?
Yeah, exactly. Or is it? And so it's that wee bit of nervous energy, is you can feel it in your tummy, but you couldn't, what is it? I want to see, I want to find out. And then, of course, valuable is valuable because we are all here to be of service. We all have a unique gift to bring. And so our value is aligning with what is our unique voice, what is our unique piece that we bring to this whole life experience. And then expressed, we have to say them out loud, right? We have to speak them, we have to write them, we have to visit with them and keep recommitting to doing them. And then when I said reflective of being, reflective of your gifts, of your unique nature, of the things that light you up. So that's what we do at aspiring to the next best version of you, is we set clever intentions.
Oh, as always, you have taken a big, broad subject and important topic to explore, and brought it down to easy to implement steps and explanations about why to try it and what you're going to get out of it, the benefits of that. And that's the epitome of what we try to do here at Fast Action Fridays, is make things simple and doable, and encourage people to get out and actually try these things if they are indeed stuck, stalled, or stumped with something. All right. Now, I know you've got a free, I know you've got a new free resource that we're going to be offering people. Can you explain a little bit about that?
Absolutely. So it's very much in alignment with what I've just been sharing with you. So it's a PDF that it's laid out like a workbook that you go through in over 5 days. 5's the big thing here. Eh? So it's called the Savvy Success Formula. And so, the biggest piece in all of this, like the undercurrent, if you like, is self-care. Self-care is not a luxury. All too often, people who are feeling stuck or telling their story of their past, they put their self-care at the bottom of the to-do list. The truth is, you can only do the work that you're intending to do to the degree that you do your self-care. So that's what this Savvy Success Formula is all about. And again, Savvy stands for something. So Savvy
because Moira loves her acronyms.
I love my acronyms and my words. And it helps. It helps people go, oh yeah, where am I? Right? Where are you with your conscious intentions? So Savvy, the first day is that you set up your self-care. Like, that's crucial. You got to set up your best self-care, and then you adopt the attitude of the successful person you are aspiring to become. Then you verify your intentions and your goals. You make sure that they are in alignment with the intentions that you're setting, who you want to become. Then you validate that these goals all fit together in your overall plan of action. And then why is you're on your way. And so that's the set up, adopt the things you need to do, verify that your intentions and goals are in alignment with this successful version of you. Because sometimes that's something you need to do in all of this too, is pause and actually get a really good felt sense of who is that successful version of you. It's actually in your vibration. Maybe sometimes it's a good thing to just pause and journal it out, or if you're artistic, draw it out. But just to have a really good felt sense of who are you becoming, and then get back into setting the goals and doing the self-care. And right. So it's kind of a bit of a dance. And that's the work you do too, Kat, is to help people with this dance, isn't it?
It is. And I like how you use the word dance to describe some of this. And I want to point out to viewers or listeners that even if you're not the same type of stuck, stumped, or stall that you were in the past, we can plateau in our success as well. And it's good to revisit these things and make sure that we're not holding ourselves back in new and undermining, self-sabotaging ways. So I know it's true for me. I know you do it too. We take time to reevaluate periodically throughout our lives. And to go back to one of your points earlier, journaling is one way to help gauge that. I've got my brain dump and discovery exercise and my 7-day passion quest, which I think would be a great complement with the 5-day Savvy Success Formula. Well,
I'm sure it would be, for sure.
This has been wonderful. I love the brilliance of how you've taken the core of what you do and kind of repackaged it and added to it and maybe fertilized it a little bit so it's blooming with bigger, brighter blossoms for people to take in, to smell, to experience. And if you are listening to this rather than watching our interview today, make sure you go back to rockingyourpath.com, look for the blog post with Moira Hutchison, and you will find the link to access her new freebie. And you can also access our previous interviews and some of her other free resources there too as well. Any last words you'd like to share with us?
I just wanted to pick up on something you said, Kat, which I really loved, is about that idea of every so often we're on track and then we plateau. The key piece is to always remember that we are all on constant journey. We never get to there where we never need to pause and say, where am I going? And so that's how come the formulas that I've been sharing, they apply to wherever you're at. You could be a multimillionaire and then hit a level of, I'm not becoming all that I could be. And so there is always space to do it, and it's to do it with an unconditional love. That's what we're never done. And if we are, then we're kind of going to exit this life.
Exactly.
You know?
The way I explain it is life isn't a line from here to there. It's a constant, right. It's more like the stock market. It's constantly going up and down, and hopefully we're always advancing, where our highs are always trending higher than our lowest lows.
Yes.
Always room for improvement.
Right. That's that statistical analysis. You always want to have the upward trend, but it's still going to be bumps.
Oh, yes. We're always going to have those bumps in the road. Well, thank you, Moira, again, for being here.
My pleasure. Thank you.
And this is Cat Sturtz from rockingyourpath.com, closing another episode of Fast Action Fridays, reminding you to keep rocking your unique path to success. See you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.